how can we rethink the world of work so that it is more family friendly and more compatible with our other responsibilities? Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Soraya, I'm a mother of two, and here on this channel I speak my truth about motherhood. In last week's laundry talk video, we spoke about the division of labor at home and whether parental responsibilities can really be shared equally between both partners when the child is still very young, especially when there are some things like breastfeeding that the mother cannot really delegate. So if you're interested in that topic, please go and have a look at that video. And also, if you enjoy this content, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments below about all the topics that we are talking about. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so that you never miss one of my videos. When it comes to the unequal division of labor at home between both parents, I actually want to stress that I don't think that fathers are entirely to blame. And this is the topic of today's video. In today's video, I want to talk about the structure of our work environment today, and whether it's compatible with other types of responsibilities like family life and parental responsibilities. And so of course this applies to both parents, and that's why throughout this video I'm going to start to talk about parenthood rather than motherhood, because I feel like if we only talk about this in the perspective of the mother, which is what is usually done in academic papers or news articles or stuff like that, we always talk about the work conditions for the mother and whether it's compatible for family life, but I really feel like we need to include fathers in that discussion as well, because if we make it easier for fathers to actually be home and actually, be more involved and spend more time with their kids, then you will see that some of these inequalities at home start to decrease and that it starts to balance it out. How can we expect fathers to be more involved at home and to be more present in their children's lives and in their families' lives when the constraints of their work prevent them from being home in the first place? And before I continue, I just want to specify that obviously I live in the UK, and so some of the things I say may be very country specific, but I also feel like a lot of these topics are very universal and sadly will apply in many other Western countries as well. And the last thing is, if you're interested in finding out more about this topic, I will be putting in the description box below references that you could go and have a look at. These are academic papers or publications that you can find online and that are really interesting. Let's talk about the work environment and whether it's compatible with family life. In modern economies, we greatly benefit from, mothers returning to work, and that's because they represent a significant portion of the labor force. But is our work life compatible with caring for children and having families? And the sad truth is, our labor market, as we know it today, is very rigid and has little to no consideration for family life and for the needs of our children. If you think about it, our work environment is still very much organized like it was when the father was the sole provider of the house. So it's still like our work, as it's organized today, it still very much looks like when the father was going to work all day, making money and providing an income for the house, while the mother was staying at home caring for children. And when this was the case, of course, it doesn't matter if the father is, has to leave at 7:30 in the morning and doesn't come back until 7:30 at night. That's all right. But now that we both work, and that in most cases the mother contributes to bringing an income to the home and works just as much as the father, then we still have these crazy hours that absolutely don't match family life and all of the other responsibilities that we have next to our paid work. So then, if you're like me, the solution becomes to only work part-time, right? Because I personally don't feel comfortable dropping my children at nursery at 7:30 in the morning and not being able to pick them back up until 6:30 at night and still feeling dissatisfied and frustrated because I had to leave a meeting early and my children spend the whole day outside and they're exhausted and I haven't spent enough time with them, so I'm losing in every side. So the solution then becomes part-time employment, doesn't it? But if you look at the part-time employment market in the UK, honestly, it's crap. So first, let's talk about the long-term implications of part-time employment. Part-time employment obviously means a lesser retirement income, doesn't it? It also means less opportunity to save and to accumulate assets. So it really has a massive impact, doesn't it? The other thing is that, well, part-time employment is not even available in all categories of work. I have a friend whose daughter is the same age as mine, and she would just very much love to work part-time to spend more time with her kid. And also just to give herself a break, because she's really struggling right now, having to accumulate the responsibilities of caring for a very young child and working full-time and caring for her home. It's really a lot on her shoulders, and she would very much like to work part-time. But she was telling me, Soraya, in my career path, there just aren't any part-time opportunities. And a lot of the time, the part-time opportunities are for lower category jobs, which means that as mothers, if we want to work part-time so that we can, accumulate all of our different responsibilities and so that we can, care for our children and work and do it all, we have to basically trade down and accept a lower job status than what we had before and a lower pay. And so not only does that affect us financially in the long and short term, because less, like I said, less retirement income, obviously you're making less, but also, immediately less money right now at the end of the month. But also it impacts our career progression, because then that means that, we will be excluded from promotions, we have a lower job status, so when we do want to return to work full-time, then we have this huge gap of maybe years of working in this lower job status where we haven't really progressed at all, and so it really delays our career progression significantly. And while we're talking about money, let's talk about pay gap for a second, because it is really no secret that, men tend to earn more than women and that there's a pay gap between men and women, but there's also a pay gap between women who don't have children and women who do, and actually a lot of time this gap ends up being even bigger than between men and women. So why is this important? Well, it's important because if the father earns that much more than the mother, then it will have a significant impact on many of the decisions that are being made at home. And I was recently reading an article in the New York Times it was written by a mother and a journalist who was talking about what happened in her house during the lockdown and the COVID-19 pandemic. And, talking about the fact that when the pandemic started and the lockdown started, there was this kind of expectation that because now both parents would work from home, then the labor would be more equally divided at home, the childcare responsibilities, because now both of them are stuck at home, right? But when it came down to it, she realized that when both of them have a Zoom meeting at the same time, well, it becomes a question of whose meeting is most important, right? Who gets priority? And sadly, if daddy earns more than mommy, then it's really easy to answer that question, isn't it? So that's why this pay gap is a huge, huge issue, because it's not only about how unfair it is that our hourly rate might be lower than men and lower than other women who don't have children. It's also about, the balance at home and the equality at home. So all of that leads me to think that our work today really isn't organized so that we can actually, work and perform well as employees and be satisfied with our careers and our career progression and, give the best that we can to society and contribute to the level that we can contribute, and at the same time fulfill family responsibilities, care for our children, and, be there for our families. So now that leads me to my last question, and that is, how can we rethink the world of work so that it is more family friendly and more compatible with our other responsibilities? How can we adapt the world of work so that we can support mothers who want to work, whether it's part-time or full-time, and fathers who want to be more involved at home? Because if there are decent, flexible job options out there, then we can imagine that fathers would be more involved too, and that the division of labor at home would be more equal too. And if you're an employer watching this, then it's also your responsibility to contribute to this conversation and to think about what you can do for your employees to make it more family friendly. And it doesn't have to be huge steps that only multi-million companies can do. It can be really simple things that you can implement that would make it easier for your employees to accumulate all of their different identities and responsibilities. I strongly feel that employers in all sectors should be more open to things like job sharing, more open to things like flexible working hours and home working. We need to offer part-time opportunities and reduced hours opportunities in much more categories of work, including, higher paid, higher qualification jobs, because that would also mean that even men would be able to take up these opportunities and be more present at home. But also women could more easily, be mothers, care for their children, and work, and still work at their level of qualification and get the pay that they deserve, as with their actual work experience and with their level of qualification. Also, why are we excluding new mothers who are taking full advantage of their maternity leave from company life for so long? Because a lot of mothers will feel the pressure to return to work as quickly as possible after they've had their child, because they are worried that staying off of work for months on end will slow their career progression and will affect their career and their work life in general. So why not include them more in the company life during their maternity leave, not only to keep them updated with everything that's happening, invite them to team meeting, invite them to participate in any new training that's taking place, but also to, reduce their careers being slowed down and to reduce the pay gap, because then, obviously the pay gap between, women with children and women without children and men and women will be justified by this year that the mother has spent completely off of work and, not worked. So why don't we offset that by including them more in the company life, offering them training, including them to team meetings. I know that, I work for an organization that is incredibly family friendly, and 6 weeks after I had given birth to my son, a meeting was organized to discuss our organization's future and our long-term goals, and my employers actually invited me to come and participate to that meeting, even though I had just had my newborn baby, but they still wanted me to participate and contribute. And of course it wasn't mandatory, I had the choice, but I was really happy to be able to join and to participate and to feel like I'm included and like my opinion matters and like I have a say in what's happening and I'm included in our long-term plans. And so I came to that meeting and I was allowed to bring my newborn baby with me because I was breastfeeding and I couldn't leave him for the whole day. I had to just keep him with me to continue breastfeeding him during the day. So I brought my baby with me to the meeting, and my bosses actually took turns holding my baby with me so that I could actually be there and contribute to the meeting and, participate. So that was fantastic, and I don't understand why more employers don't do that. I don't mean hold your employees' babies, but I mean, putting in place ways in which, new mothers can actually continue to participate into and contribute to the company's life. And it could be through, being more flexible, like letting them contribute to meetings through Zoom or Skype, or, being more flexible with scheduling the meetings so that mothers can attend, just taking them into account and including them. How amazing and incredible would it be if we could imagine a work environment that feels human, where we are treated like humans who have need and who have others around us who need us and who have other responsibilities outside of work and who have young children or older parents or disabled family members who need us at home. How amazing would it be if we worked together, government, employers, employees, to create a more family-friendly work environment? And by doing that, we would also show just how much we value all of this unpaid, informal care work that we do outside of our paid jobs, and that benefits not only our children and close family members, but also society at large. If you're still here watching this video all the way to the end, and if you're an employee, please tell me, have you had any amazing experience of your employer being incredibly family friendly, and what have they done that has made you feel valued and accepted and included? And if you're an employer also, can you tell us about some things that you're doing for your employees to include them and to make sure that you show them that you understand and value and respect any other responsibilities that they might have outside of their work for you? Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day.